There's one big problem with VR guns. They don't feel like guns. They feel like you've got a controller in your hand. And I'm developing the best mixed reality game ever made by humanity so far. Starting with the guns, I want them to feel real. And I plan to accomplish this in 3 ways. First way, recoil. I mean literal recoil, where your arm has to kick back with every shot. And the way I plan on implementing that is simply by adding a mechanic where if you don't kick back, it will jam. And in my game, you can get better guns with less recoil. You can upgrade your character to have better gun handling and just lower the recoil overall. I think it's gonna be dope. Second thing, I want the controller to always be the gun. Basically, the way to do that is just gonna be hand tracking. And then when you do wanna use your gun, you just whip out your controller and it just already is your gun. Like, it's just not, the controller is just solely a gun. And the third element that I want to add is Poo-Poo.
Pipi und Kaki im Pipi-Kackerland.
The only thing is, I don't know how to make VR guns. I'm not a programmer or a developer. I'm Yuki and I'm a little baby. I am a baby. I am a baby. Oh, bo, bo, bo. Bo, 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 bo. Get out of here. Get the fuck out of here. If we can revolutionize VR guns in this video, then please drop a like and subscribe. To be honest, I'm a little worried that I can't revolutionize VR guns. I'm gonna try.
Alright, there was a bunch of echo in my OBS recording, so I'm just gonna do this voiceover instead. To start, I already had a player pawn blueprint with hand tracking and controller input set up. So my first step was to add a gun into that blueprint and parent it to the controller.
Got it, but it still doesn't quite work yet.
But the gun wasn't shooting anything yet, so I tweaked its logic a bit until I finally had balls.
So many balls, this is like Paris Hilton's birthday party.
Now that I had my gun set up inside my controller, it came time to do the thing I was most afraid of. Actually adding the recoil mechanic. I couldn't find any sort of VR physical recoil mechanic online. As far as Google was concerned, it just didn't exist. So it was up to me to come up with it from scratch. And it was pretty scary, but I basically just decided to not overthink it and just try to come up with a simple solution. And before I knew it, I was really surprised I actually hadn't even gotten this far, but there was still some stuff to fix. For starters, the recoil was way too high. I was basically blasting myself in the face every time I wanted to take a shot. Secondly, the projectiles were spawning from where the gun ends up rather than from when it starts, and we need the shot to shoot straight. So to fix that, I got the muzzle's location immediately after pulling the trigger and promoted that to a variable, and then I plugged that variable into the projectile spawner, and next, I changed up the gun from the default Unreal Engine one into this 3D model that I got. I added some muzzle flashes, smoke, sound effects, created some simple enemies to test out on, and finally, this is what we got.
Alright, so check it out. The majority of the game is going to be played with hand tracking, so when you're just moving around your room interacting with objects, it's going to be with your actual hands. And so you're barely going to be using your controllers except for when you get into a battle. So say you see some bad guys, then you can pull out your gun out of your holster. And there it is. And that just feels so like, it just feels so right. Like actually pulling your gun out of your holster and like you feel the haptic feedback of the gun. So that's the first way that we're making this gun system more realistic. The second way is this. If I want to just aim and spam the trigger, it's going to spam because this isn't just a controller, this is a gun. If you're going to shoot a gun, there's going to be recoil. No recoil, no shot. But once I add the recoil, it shoots. It's actually working super well. This is just a prototype. I personally really fuck with it because playing VR and just spamming the trigger, there's no weight. But now, it's
actual weight behind each of your shot, and each shot counts, because if you miss, it's going to take you a second to readjust. This is just an example of how much room there is for creativity in the VR industry right now. Even just a guy in his room just thinking about stuff could make something that doesn't exist yet. Now the next step is to add new gun models, gun power-ups, special guns, explosives, abilities, perks, customization, so much stuff. But here's the thing, when I started to create this, I kind of had the realization that I'm gonna need some help. So if any of you guys know like programming or Unreal Engine or 3D modeling, really anything, and you're interested in helping with this project, please do. Right now I have like no resources, so if you could just subscribe too, then that's gonna help me have resources to pay the people that do help me. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe or the dog gets it.